Hey, it's Tuesday, everybody. Welcome into the best damn pod in the land. We are a few days away from beat Sparty. We took care of Marshall over the weekend, even though there was a little grumbling, Dan, and it was hot. It was a hot day. Everybody I've talked to that was there was like, I was miserable if you were in the sun. And then if you were in the B deck, the air wasn't moving at all because there was no breeze, unless you're Jaden Fielding. And then there was a breeze. So welcome everybody. We are here. Dan, what's up? How's it going? What do you think?
It's going well, man. Excited to get into the Big Ten. It's not necessarily, a juggernaut that we're starting off with. I can't even remember when's the last time that we had a start to the season to where you can legitimately say each team you've played is better than the previous team as you lead up to your biggest game of the year. Well, second biggest game of the year when we play Oregon, right? So, you got Akron. Western Michigan's better than Akron. Marshall's better than Western Michigan. Michigan State should be better than those guys. Iowa's better than Michigan State, right? So it's it's kind of an ideal scenario. Doesn't make for exciting football, but certainly allows you to get some different things on film and work on them along the way. I think it's good that we saw what we did against Marshall, put some things on film that we need to work on defensively.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I mean, I don't know how much they did outside of just kind of like a base defense. But we can chat about that. I have some film too we can look at. And one of the things I did want to get to, Dan, is I have our random number generator for our Blitz to 500. So we landed at 461. So I've put all of those folks into a spreadsheet. And so I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to pull up our number randomizer, and we're going to hit generate number 137. So I will pull up our spreadsheet, see who that is. Let's see, stop sharing, grab the spreadsheet, because you know what we do. And I'll pop this out, and I'll share. Number 137 is Free Timer 64. So Free Timer 64, drop me a note in our comment section. If you're listening, I will get the way you can get a hold of me. I don't mind putting my email out here too. It's CSTRYKER44@gmail. You can get in touch with me that way, and I'll make sure that you get that Buckeye Corner gift card. Probably have to mail it to you, but we'll make sure that you get it. So please let us know. And congratulations. Thanks for being a subscriber. Thanks for everybody that helped us get to 460. We're still trying to get to that 500 mark so that we are part of the recommended videos. But Dan, back to the show.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So
congratulations. Dan, we appreciate your guys' support. The blitz doesn't stop here. We need to get to 500, then we need to get to 1,000, and then kind of the floodgates open. So we appreciate your support. Hopefully we're providing some value and some fun to you guys, and we just really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're having fun. We're just a couple of guys that love football, having fun, talking about Buckeyes. So we did have a bit of recruiting news, Dan, and I know you have another little snippet you want to talk about with the playoffs, and then we'll get into the Marshall game. So 2026 four-star linebacker, one of my favorite players from 2026, he's probably in my top 5, is Cincere Johnson out of Glenville, 6'3", 225. Number 3 player in Ohio, according to 247, has been crystal balled to Ohio State. Comes in at almost a top 100 player. He's number 111, so borderline. I think he'll be there by the end of the season. Right now, I kind of see him as an inside linebacker in the mold of Arvell Reese, but I do think he could grow into an edge. We'll see how he continues to grow heading into next year. But the Glenville pipeline opened back up, Dan. Laurinaitis picking up right where he left off in 2025 with Riley Pettyjohn. Gotta love it, man. What do you think?
I'm stoked, man. Cincere Johnson's somebody that, is kind of like an old school Ohio State recruit, right? From the pit of Cleveland, not not the pit.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a word that's not negative, just, from the heart of Cleveland, rather,
Yes. Yeah.
He's a Cleveland guy. He's an Ohio State guy. It's that pipeline that we've won national championships with before.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. His athleticism is off the charts. Think the offer was a little, offer was a little overdue, but I think they wanted to do it when he came up for a game. So that's all good. I'm sure they probably hinted at it. I'm excited, man, that Ohio pipeline, we need to build it up. We need to keep it going.
Yep. I love Tetkin senior kids. They're genuinely good kids. They're good football players. They understand the game, and opening up that Glenville pipeline. Heck yeah, man. And I know Teddy Ginn Jr. was at the game. So, like that, that's cool too.
Yeah.
So Dan, looking at the playoff scenarios, as things were standing today, you had an interesting nugget, about where, I think, did you say Boise State?
Yeah, so let's go through this. So if you look at the AP top 25 right now, if the playoff was to start today, Texas would be seeded 1. OSU would jump up from 3 to 2 as the next highest ranked conference champion. Miami would jump from 7 to 3 as the ACC champ, and Utah would jump from 10 to 4 as the Big 12 champ, right? Then, you've got Utah dropping from 2 to 5. And when I say dropping and jumping up, it's because of the 4 conference champions getting the top 4 seeds. So you're looking at a UGA going from 2 to 5, Bama going from 4 to 6, Tennessee from 5 to 7, Ole Miss from 6 to 8, Oregon from 8 to 9, Penn State from 9 to 10. Mizzou stays slotted at 11. And then this is the part that's fun. That 12th team is going to get knocked out for the group of 5, highest ranked group of 5 member. At this point in time, actually, screw up. I may have messed up on this. At this point in time, the highest ranked group of 5 member is actually BYU. Yeah. So BYU would jump up from 22 to 12.
What about Iowa State? Aren't they group of 5?
Iowa State's in the Big 12.
So is BYU.
Oh, Jesus. I can't even keep this straight anymore. My bad. Boise State jumps up from 25 to 12 as the highest ranked at-large or group of 5 team. And guess who's sitting in that 12 slot and would get left out?
The mighty cheaters up north.
That vaunted passing attack from Ann Arbor would be on the outside looking in. So anyways, just some fun matchups. You got UGA Boise, you got Bama, Mizzou, Tennessee, Penn State, and Ole Miss and Oregon. Those are some sexy matchups in that first round, right?
Yeah.
All just some things to note. 5 through 8 are currently all SEC teams, so those first round games would all be played south of the Mason-Dixon line. Long ways to go. A lot of things can happen. Don't look now, but Clemson's suddenly looking like they figured it out. So I think they're going to give, Miami a probably their only real test this year. But, it's, we didn't have this to talk about in years past. So I think it's fun, man.
Yeah, it is fun. And, the vaunted passing attack in Michigan, people have been picking on Ohio State for who they played. Akron, Marshall, and Western Michigan all rank ahead of Michigan's passing offense right now.
Navy ranks ahead of Michigan's passing offense right now.
So there's that. There's that. That's happening right now.
Here's the deal. I think their defense looked markedly better than they did against Texas. I think Texas is a better team than USC, so I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Offensive line is nearly as good as Texas, nor are their skill players.
Not at all. But, listen, they grinded it out, man. Yeah. They did what they had to do to win. Is that a sustainable model? No. Do I think that beats Oregon? No. Does it beat us? No.
They won't beat Indiana that way either. Indiana puts the points.
Yeah, they're going to have. I think they're going to, be in really tight contest with Indiana and Illinois.
Washington.
Yeah, I think they're a year away from
Yeah.
having some big
I'm just
wins in
saying
the Big Ten.
their road to victory is not paved with gold right now. So
It's just not sustainable.
uh-uh.
It's I guess you can almost say you admire the way that they grit. They gritted out that win. If I was capable of admiring anything from that program,
Yeah.
but that last run that set up their last touchdown. I mean, there were 87,000 broken tackles on that play. That was just horrendous.
Well, I don't want to toot my own horn, but on Friday I said, A, it would be a lot closer than people think, and B, they wouldn't be afraid to run it 30 plus times in a row if they had to. It's exactly what happened, and it was close, and they ran it, and they ran the clock, and USA played markedly better in the second half than they did the first half, but doesn't change the outcome.
Yeah.
So, so Dan, driving into things from Saturday, Marshall. Marshall is better than Akron. Marshall is better than Western Michigan. Marshall has some dudes. I thought Coach Huff had a great game plan. I will say that I admire him a lot. I mean, he coached with Nick Saban, so he's not no slouch of a coach. 49-14. I will say that I didn't think it was possible for me to dislike Joel Klatt any more than I already do. And after Saturday's game, I do. I don't even know how that's possible, but it's possible. Gosh, that guy just will not shut up about the dumbest things. And
he's quickly becoming public enemy number one with Ohio
State
State
Herb
fans.
Street.
I don't have a problem with Kirk Herbstreit. I know I'm probably going to die on that hill alone. We're talking about admiring people. I admire Kirk Herbstreit's ability to be objective and be a professional, as opposed to that other twat Desmond Howard, who doesn't hide his bias at all.
Yeah.
I've never had an issue with Kirk. I find myself agreeing with 95% of what Kirk Herbstreit says. Ohio State fans, they just don't want anybody at all to say anything negative or critical about their boys, and his job's to be objective, man.
I felt bad for Herbie when his kids were young, and then he had to move because of the hate that he would get. I did so. There were times though I thought Herbstreit went out of his way to be overly critical, to almost go to the other side of the fence so that people weren't like, "Oh, you're such a homer." But anyways, I'm glad the game's on Peacock. I was complaining about it, but now I don't have to listen to Klatt. So that
that wasn't a game either to really highlight Gus Johnson, right? Like on Jeremiah's touchdown, it's almost like he just came back from taking a nap. So I would imagine that's a tough game to call.
Yeah. I think that's why they got off in the weeds so much is, there was never any doubt. I mean, Marshall had a great first drive, kept our offense off the field. 2 plays later, Emeka's in the end zone, and you're like, oh yeah, they are that good, So I'll give them that. I'll give them the nods of that at least. So, how did you feel coming off of the game, like on the first watch, and then how did you feel after a rewatch? So I have 2 different thoughts here. So how did you feel when the game ended?
I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to rewatch it. Things are so busy on the home front right now.
Yeah.
I've obviously watched a bunch of clips and stuff like that in the timeline. But coming out of the game, I thought the offense looked fantastic. I thought we showed a few more wrinkles, but nothing extravagant. We're as explosive as we've ever been. So offensively, man, high marks. Defensively, I think we missed Tyleek, which is kind of crazy because all we've talked about is the depth coming out of camp along the offense or defensive line. And you'd think that one guy would make that huge of a difference in a game like that. But we did see some things that we haven't seen before this season with this group. I do have some current concerns with linebacker. I think I don't think Sonny in particular is just playing yet. I think he's still reacting. Um, I found it interesting that they started Harrow over Caden. I think that was more of a positional thing. Like it literally was a depth chart thing, right? Harrow is number 2 behind Tyleek, and Caden is number 2 behind Ty Hamilton. I think they figured it out though, and they put Caden over there anyways. I think I saw 4 people on the defensive line got their most snaps ever in the game. Yep. So, that's interesting. I know it was hotter than Hades down there.
135, the sideline reporter said 135 degrees on the turf.
Yeah. Little concerned that we weren't getting to the quarterback. That guy was definitely better than anybody we faced so far this year, and definitely, more mobile. So I think we got a lot of good stuff on film to be able to work on, and I would not expect us to look like that if we see that type of air raid offense again. I don't know who we face that would have an air raid offense at this point. Are they air raid or are they more just, spread?
Yeah, they're spread. Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good analysis, Dan. My first word when I got done watching the game was relieved. I was relieved that I thought that our offense played well, and there was never any doubt. But I was frustrated, and you if you go back through our Pod Bros text message, I don't tweet during a game, but man, I was mad on Saturday. I could not for the life of me understand why our DBs were playing 5 and 7 yards off their receivers. It was driving me absolutely bonkers. But at any rate, I was relieved. By the end of my rewatch, there were some things that became very, very clear to me. Number one, we had a whole bunch of people playing that really had never played. It felt like they just rotated just for the hell of it sometimes because it was so dang hot. They were I think I was trying to remember who I saw at the end of the game that I was like, instead of Edric Houston, Dom Kirks was in the game, because they're probably going to redshirt him. So they got him some reps. There was that at linebacker. There were times where it was like Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, and then Arvell Reese, and like they were moving the one time they do blitz, CJ Hicks runs up the middle and then trips over God knows what, and then it leads to a big play. So that I was, but then on rewatch I was like, okay, they did a lot of rotating. There was a lot of players that were in and out. I do not think JTT was supposed to be rushing the quarterback. Looking at it, it looked like he was just supposed to maintain the edge, so that Stone Earl wouldn't get the outside, and then it looked like the B gap or A gap or B gap responsibilities looked like it was for the linebackers. But then I watched it again, and I don't know what they were doing, unless they were just not doing what they were supposed to be doing. So it was really interesting, Dan, to me to on rewatch to kind of step through everything. But a lot of players played a lot, and I think that may be more of what we saw in a defense, with it being very vanilla, because it was base packages with a lot of rotation. So I took a deep breath after that and thought, okay, that's where we are.
Yeah, JTT, Ron and Q actually talked about it this morning. He was, I want to say he was our highest graded defender from PFF because he did what he was asked to do.
Right.
And I think that JTT is grossly underappreciated because everybody wants to see sacks.
Right.
And he's just doing his job.
Right.
He's probably one of those guys that we're going to see, with 7, 8, 9 sacks at the next level because he's going to be allowed to play differently.
Right. So let me ask you this then. What did you make? We'll stick with the defensive line and the rotation. What did you make of the interaction with Ryan Day and Larry Johnson on the sideline then? Because that looked kind of heated.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the second time.
More or less, it was more or less said that you're either going to do what I ask you to do or you're going to lose your job, is the exchange that I've been told took place on the sideline with Larry.
Okay.
So Ryan he's not messing around, man. Yeah. I mean, he wants to see what he wants to see. And if the coaches aren't on board, he's got no problem lighting them up.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. I just am surprised that we've seen it twice now during a game. And I know, like you and I have talked about that Notre Dame game. We've turned it into glue where Sawyer and JTT never came off the field. But I do think we have some guys that are ready. They can, and honestly, Caden Curry was playing the best of any defensive lineman on Saturday until he headbutted that guy. And in my mind, I had this graphic. I was trying to find it. I saved it from one of the NBC games when Burke got called for that weird targeting call, and they were showing the areas of the helmet where you had to hit somebody for it to be like considered targeting. That's not what happened on Saturday. It's not what happened with Burke. Nobody knows what targeting is. It pisses me off.
The targeting, it's a multifaceted rule, right? There's like, if you lead with the crown of your helmet anywhere on the body, it's targeting. And that's to protect the defensive player just as much, if not more, than the defensive player. I was like temporarily paralyzed 3 or 4 times as a youth because I got hit on the top of the head. Like once was on the playground, once was in hockey, once was in football. Like if that rule, with the crown of your helmet is to protect the defensive player just as much, if not more, than the offensive player. The other aspect of targeting is that, if you strike somebody in the head and neck area, regardless of what part of the helmet you use, it can be considered targeting. And I think that's what we saw there. Yeah. He definitely got him with helmet in the chin. I just don't know if it, they need to take away the automatic injection. And I don't think we'd be talking about this nearly as much.
Yeah. Well, and so I just want to say, if that's targeting, the Burke thing is targeting. What happened to Marvin Harrison Jr. in the Peach Bowl absolutely was targeting, and it's BS.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to call all of that, come on. Anyway, you can't rewrite history, but wow.
Caden Curry's a sharp kid. Don't put it past him. Like, the rule with targeting, if you get an ejection, you miss the rest of that half and the next half, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's 120 degrees down on the field. There's 12 seconds left in the half. Maybe he made a business decision and said, you know what, I'm done. Yeah. I'm done for the day. I don't want to play in the second half. Here, give me your chin.
Yeah, maybe. No. They did miss, I will say defensively, they did miss Tyleek. And this is something we've talked about before. And I asked you, like, where's Ty Hamilton? And those two work so well together because Ty Hamilton eats up blocks, and Tyleek is so quick off the ball, like he's a disruptor. And so I think that they figured it out. They put Caden McDonald next to Ty Hamilton, and things got a lot better because Caden McDonald's Tyleek Williams 2.0, probably maybe even going to be better, quicker. But there was a missing piece there up the middle, especially. But I do think that kudos to the defensive staff. I think they got it right in the end. I am curious, Dan, why you think they didn't blitz more when they, were they just trying? I mean, gosh, there was one point where there was no safeties. They had no safeties back. Everybody was up near the line of scrimmage to try to stop the run, and they were playing press man on the outside.
Yeah, I just don't think we've seen much of anything at this point. I think it's been really vanilla.
All right.
And not to derail this conversation, and I know we're recording. However, there's some breaking news. This is kind of sad. Brett Favre just announced that he was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
Oh, geez.
When I read the first part of that, I thought for sure it was going to say ALS, which is the one disease I'm deathly afraid of in my life. But yeah, man, that's sad. That's he's still relatively young, so you got to wonder if there's a connection there between concussions and activating that. But Godspeed to him and his family, and prayers go out to him.
Absolutely. I've dealt firsthand with ALS twice. So, it sucks, man. Yeah. The defense, Marshall held the ball for almost 13 minutes in the first quarter. So they were gassed by the end of the first quarter. So it's no wonder they rotated as much as they did. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that we've seen anything yet. Offensively, Dan, my goodness, are those guys good? I mean, holy cow. I'm going to pick on one thing, Dan, one thing and one thing only, and it's to give you props. It's Will Howard's deep ball. So we've seen two real legitimate deep shots from Will Howard. One came up short to Jeremiah Smith, who looked like he just outran the ball. This one, I'm not mad at. It was a 50-50 ball. Looking at, even on rewatch, I don't think Jeremiah Smith thought he was getting the ball. I think Will just made a decision. I've got him one-on-one on the outside. I'm just going to take a shot and let my guy try to go get it. It was a little underthrown. But I'm not mad at it. I don't hate it. Like, he took a shot, whatever. We're up.
I didn't have a problem with that ball at all. Yeah. I do remember the conversation on between Klatt and Gus that it looked like Jeremiah maybe ran the first half of that route a little light because maybe he didn't think he had the coverage that he had.
He didn't really sprint.
Yeah, so I don't even know if I can say that it was underthrown. I mean, that DB made a great play on the ball. If anything, I'm a little surprised that JJ didn't, turn into a DB and at least knock it down. He needs to, and I'm sure they'll probably work on that in practice.
Oh, I absolutely think they will.
Landis said this morning on the podcast that Will so far, I mean, and again, this will provide, what do we like to provide on the show?
Context.
Perfect perspective, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've got the lowest yards per target in the Ryan Day era. It's like less than 8 yards per attempt. Yeah. Air travel per attempt. And Will, you want to be about 50% completion on balls 20 yards downfield or more. Mm-hmm. And he's 3 for 7. So, he's right there. The thing that was the most eye-opening to me is that we've only thrown the ball over 20 yards 7 times in 3 games. So I do believe that has more to do with game plan.
Yeah.
We're going to see a game or two out there where they're gonna let it go. Yeah. And I've got faith. I don't think Will's got as nearly as strong of an arm as even of Honda, to be honest with you. I think, McCord had a stronger arm than Will does. But I've got faith in Chip to dial up some easy shots, Now, if he starts missing those, it's going to be a problem. Yeah. And it's going to be an I told you so. And I don't want that to happen.
No, I don't want it to happen either because I want to win. All right. So now the running game, Dan. Oh my goodness.
Hey, can we address something else really quick? I wasn't going to bring this up, but it's just, it irritates the hell out of me. The amount of attention that we are currently giving to QB2, regardless of who it is just diabolical to me. And I am absolutely convinced, I went on Juck's show after the game, I am absolutely convinced it was quiet after the Western Michigan game, but there was uproar after the game 1, and there was uproar after this one in week 4, game 3, about Devin Brown.
Oh,
and,
yes.
This kid gets vitriolic. Is that a word? Vitriolic? Yeah, he gets so much crap into his inbox from fans saying, like, you need, just fans. God awful, horrible crap. And, here's something y'all need to know. Number one, in the first week and in this week, we missed the spread by 1 score, by covering the spread 1 score. I am absolutely convinced 80% of the vitriol that we've seen from him after game 1 and game 3 is directly rated to people who put a stupid amount of money on a stupid spread.
Yeah.
That was way too big to be putting money on anyways. Yeah. Right. But number 2, hey, here's a little something you need to know. He graded out really, really well with the coaches. The coaches were ecstatic with his decision-making. Yeah. Okay. You're going to blame Brown for not converting on the first drive when the ball hit Ballard in his face mask?
Yeah.
That's Brown's fault. You've got receivers that aren't getting separation, running wrong routes, aren't getting deep enough on their routes. And then on that swing pass that everybody was up in arms about, he actually got accolades from the coach in the film room because he was throwing it away. It would have been a loss of yardage if he completed it. So people, they're just idiots. I mean, it's just, it's so stupid. And if you don't think the kid would look better if he actually went out there and ran with the ones, then you're a moron. I'm done. I'm off my box.
You're good, man. No, I was
Thank you. Next, Mariana Grande.
I was just going to continue with your theme. So, some of the community posts on Twitter, man, like, so I've got one that says, if Hancock continues to look a little sloppy, I wouldn't mind seeing more Lorenzo Styles.
We're in the silly season, man.
The next one says, when is Caleb Downs going to make some plays? Like, what are you talking about? Sometimes
Caleb should have 87 interceptions by the end of the year.
I can't. I just can't. I can't.
As a matter of fact, when they run up the middle, Caleb should intercept that ball.
Yeah, apparently. During games, I'm going to have to like mute that group because, oh my goodness, man, I was so mad I could have spit nails. But
you talking about Ron's group?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, man. I got to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure there's 2 or 3 very similar groups, probably with the same people on Facebook, that I completely opted out of last season.
I just can't, man. I just can't. So I have this. I have a little breakdown here. I'm going to share of our running game, Dan, and I'm sure people have seen this already. So I won't like blast us with it. But so here's a little crackback. So it's essentially a counter with Travion Henderson. And I need to hide this so I can play it. But man, what a scheme! Look at this. Look at that. You could run through that.
I could waddle through that.
Look at this. Look at this scheme. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Look at the
pole.
It's
pretty, man. Look at
Austin.
Where'd that start on the 15-yard line?
Yeah. 20.
No. They're on the ball's on the 15.
Yeah, ball's on the 15. Yeah.
But I want to show you, is it Bennett Christensen is like 7 yards down. Look at him at the second level.
Yeah.
Where did he come from, actually? Oh, he's pulling.
Yeah, he pulled. So watch. So there's 3 tight ends in this set.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. So here's Jelani. I think this is Kazmarek, or is that Bennett Christian?
I think it's Bennett Christian.
Yeah, look at this. And here he comes. Boom. And here's Jelani. I don't know what he's doing. But this cut by Trey, too. Oh, my goodness. Man, when he's healthy, I'm telling you, jeepers. Wham. Wow. Gosh, that's fun, man.
Is there 3 tight ends or 4 tight ends on the field?
But what a scheme.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, Chip's having some fun, man. He's scheming some stuff up. I still don't think we've seen a tenth of what he's got out there. You know, we're going to see some really sexy stuff against the likes of Oregon and Penn State and the cheaters. And
yes, for sure. I also, I have the video of Trey or Q's long run. So I gotta pause it first, but yeah, I have the crackdown block. And I wanted to bring this up too. Just my goodness, is Chip Kelly having fun, man? Jeepers. Like some of the stuff he's doing, I'm just like, oh my goodness. Can I please have more of that? So here's Q, we're at our own 14-yard line, and here we go. Crackdown block. And then look at this block by McLaughlin.
Oh yeah.
And then look at Saraveld here. Boom. Bye friend. Yeah. And then this is just all, I think Q hit like 21 mile an hour. I think they showed on Big Ten or on Fox. So, but yeah, look, the blocking, my goodness. Simmons, Donnie, look at McLaughlin, the kick out here by
that was a really nice combo block by Donnie.
Yeah, absolutely.
He helped Seth, and then he went out and helped Simmons. That was nice.
Yeah,
I thought Donnie looked really good for his first game of the season.
Yeah, he was clean. I think he graded out the highest of the offensive linemen too on Pro Football Focus. So
he looked a lot better than our guys did in Week 1 for their first game of the year.
Absolutely, yeah. I was pleased with everything I saw out of them, and so. Yeah, Marshall had no answer for our offense whatsoever. And somebody on Twitter, was it Twitter or Facebook? Somebody asked me recently because I do comps, for people, what my comp for Quinshon Junkins was. It was a while ago. Might have been 3 weeks ago.
I got one.
And I finally came up with it. Nick Chubb.
The
power, staying on his feet, the stiff arm, running over guys, runs through guys, low center of gravity. Nick Chubb.
I got Kareem Hunt.
Similar styles.
Like Chubb, everything you just said about Chubb is accurate, but Q has what Kareem has in a complete and utter unwillingness to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And he will initiate contact just to hurt you.
Okay. I don't have a
and when
problem
he's
with that one.
And like when he's going down to the ground, he's trying to stay up, rather than just, calling it a day and living to go another play. I even think their body types are pretty similar.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
But
I agree with you.
And that literally just came to mind as we were talking about it, but that's who I've got.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I think either one.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to point out is I think everybody forgot about Emeka Egbuka, and he reminded everybody who he is on Saturday. So that play, the second play of the game, with that wide receiver screen, was the play that was to Jeremiah Smith on the opposite side of the field that he dropped in game one against Athens.
They weren't stacked, but it was than that, it was the same concept. Yeah. Mecca's 624 yards from the all-time receiving record.
Yeah. So he reminded everybody who he was. I liked that a lot. Jelani seemed to get a lot of reps. I'm going to continue to say he and Kazmarek, just let them play. Just let them play.
Yeah. That incompletion that Will had over the middle of him, that was on Jelani.
Yeah.
Jelani, he should have sat down.
Yeah.
Right there in the middle. As soon as he crossed that linebacker's face, he should have sat down in the zone.
Yep. No, I agree with you. That I mean, again, in this case, Jelani just didn't have the reps last year, and so we're counting on him. And that's where when I sent this to you and Chuck, like, just let Kazmarek play. He's a yeoman. He's doing yeoman's work. He does what he's supposed to do. He's going to make a couple catches here and there. He's not going to break a game open for you. He's not Travis Kelce, but I'm okay with that. Like, he does exactly what he needs to do, and it's kind of like Ty Hamilton on the defense. He does exactly what he's supposed to do.
I'll be honest with you. If I had to choose, I actually would go with Bennett Christian over Kazmarek.
Okay,
he's willing to do the dirty work too.
Yeah. Okay,
and I think he's more of a dynamic receiver.
Yeah.
I think he's a sneaky good pass catcher.
Well, it'll all shake out for sure, without a doubt. In my mind, it'll all come to fruition. Dan, the other thing I want to talk about from Marshall was special teams. Brandon Ennis drops that punt. I don't think Jaden Ballard would have dropped it, so I don't know if I want to trade him out. No. It was a fair catch, so
Jaden would have fair caught it and let it go over his head and get down at the 2.
Okay, that's why if sometimes if you guys could see our text thread with Chuck, I think it would be funny for some people like to do some scrolling. But I immediately said put Ballard back in.
Yeah, that was a weird
one with the sun.
There was whatever. Teams, after it only took 1 week for teams to realize they can't allow him to return the ball.
Yep.
He's had 1 return in two games now since that first week. I mean, teams are either kicking it away from him or just, getting so much air under it that he's got to fair catch it.
Yeah, they're not going to kick to him.
My one concern is that he tries to force something when we get to a big game like in Oregon, because he's going to be so juiced to want to make something happen. But I didn't think twice about keeping him back there. I did like the fact that he was on kickoff returns too. We just didn't get to see something.
Okay, whatever. I'm just saying. All right. The other thing, all jokes aside, I like Brandon Ennis back there. So kickoffs, Dan, I saw something I've never seen in a football game ever in my life, where somebody kicked the ball off 3 straight times out of bounds. I've never seen
the
that.
Wind was swirling in the stadium.
Yeah. It was.
Did you see the reaction from Ryan? He's like, he goes, the only thing is there's no effing wind. Like, just very nonchalant. Like, you can tell feelings like blaming the wind. And Ryan looks up and he's like, only thing is there's no effing wind.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to get it pull up here. I do have it. It's just taking a while to pull up.
Yeah. So here's the deal. While you're doing that, I'm not concerned about it.
Okay.
I mean, if it happened in a big game, I would have been concerned about it. The kid's never done that before since he's been kicking off. I think he just had some yips, I don't, people want to go back to blaming the coaching and special teams coaching and all that other stuff. Like, that's not a coach's fault that a kid's shanking the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who's in charge of kickoff, but what, is it Heartline, Laurinaitis? I mean, it's not their fault that the kid shanked the ball. I mean, it is kind of, bizarre that it happened on 3 straight plays. There's yeah, there's no effing win, buddy.
I just love the way he looks around like, what? What are you talking about?
You saw him point up at the flags, right?
Yeah.
He's like,
and so, Austin Snyder comes in. We get a Bronx cheer is what I like to call him. He kicks it right down the middle of the field. It doesn't go out of bounds. So the backup kicker makes an appearance. He also kicked the rest of the extra points the rest of the way too. Did you notice that? Austin Snyder did.
What's funny is Ron mentioned this on their show this morning. And I think I've said something at least on Twitter about this, but when I went to those practices, Fielding has got a really strong leg.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was kicking 50-yarders with plenty of height and distance on them. And Rod made reference to it today that when he searched his name in Google, there's videos out there of him kicking 65-yard field goals in high school.
Yeah.
He's not Noah Ruggles.
Well, that's what. So
in
if
Atlanta.
You go back to the Peach Bowl, I still to this day don't understand why they didn't give Fielding a shot. Like, if you knew Ruggles was, less than 30% chance to hit that field goal, why not give Fielding a shot? Because he was the kickoff specialist then. Anyways, that's water under the bridge. But so I did have Dan. You mentioned the PFF grade. So Donnie graded out at 86.6. Highest on the offense, highest on the defense was Caleb Downs at 79.3. So, at least from what I can find. The other thing that I wanted to mention, through 3 games, Ohio State's defense is only allowing 2.97 yards per play, less than 3 yards per play. So
it's the only team in the country less than 3 yards per play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to grab those couple things.
People will point to the schedule, but I do believe that Western Michigan and Marshall are both going to have decent seasons. I think they're good, solid, well-coached teams.
Man, I like Coach Huff a lot.
Yeah, I like Coach Huff a lot too. It's almost like he was he was interviewing for an Ohio State job or something. I looked at his background, and it's like I wouldn't come for like an O-line job, but like an OC job, and that's not going to be open. But
he coached at Bama. He's coached with some really good football coaches. I just liked his attitude, his demeanor. I also like biscuits. So, Coach Huff, if you're listening, I'll, DM me. I'll send you my address. I like Tudor biscuits. We can't get them in Ohio. So,
that's funny.
The NIL thing with Tudor biscuits. We got as many biscuits as you can eat. But no, I just thought I just really enjoyed listening to him, and I think he's a heck of a football coach, and they had a great game plan coming in. So they did everything they could do with what they had to work with. Their one defensive end, he's going to play on Sundays for sure.
Oh yeah, and I think they had one really good offensive lineman, if I'm not mistaken. They got some players on their team. I think they've got some transfers that have gone over there, and
well, that Metcalf,
that receiver they've got's really good.
Yeah, Metcalf. I was wondering if he was related to Eric Metcalf because he's about the same size Eric Metcalf was.
Yeah,
I never looked it up, but yeah. So good game. So Dan, heading into Sparty, Aaron Childs, more interceptions and twice as many interceptions as touchdowns. They are better. Jonathan Smith, good football coach. They'll have a game plan. Big Ten football. We'll get into a little more of that on Friday, but I do think that you're right. We continue to ramp up the level of competition. But any last thoughts on Marshall as we head into beat Sparty?
No, I mean, preseason's over. Conference play begins. I'm dreading the bye week after Oregon already. Don't
know.
Yeah, but I think we accomplished what we needed to. We played a lot of depth.
Yep.
In these first 3 games. I think Will is really, really good in the short to intermediate passing game. I like the way he leads the offense. The 1-2 punch of Q and Trey is just devastating. And then the receivers, the best in the country.
Yep.
An offensive line improved week over week over week.
Yep. I still have questions about Josh Fryer when he's one-on-one, when he doesn't have somebody to help chip. But I liked what I saw out of Austin Sareveld at right guard. I just wanted to mention that. So
yeah, I mean he pretty much split reps with Tegra.
100%. Yep.
Granted, the twos got in there for most of the fourth quarter, but I want to say it was like 26 and 22 or something like that. Tegra to Austin.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you got to let Austin play. He played so well when Donnie was out.
Yeah,
you got to put your best 5 out there. So I was suspect that they would do that. I didn't know if they would do that. I was afraid that they might because when you talk about going from the right side to left side as tackle, but apparently it's not the same at guard. But because they said that they were, last year talking about flipping Josh and Josh Fryer and Josh Simmons and everybody playing different positions. And they talked about Josh Simmons had been a right tackle and then a left tackle. But anyways, I thought it was good. I liked what they did and I appreciated it. So, cause I really think Austin Saraveld's going to be he's going to be an NFL lineman one day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm just, I got something going through my head right now. Like, I know you said you're still not sold on Josh Fryer. I don't see this happening. But if for some reason Josh Fryer either got hurt or just wasn't performing, does Austin kick out there? Because wasn't he the backup tackle when everybody was out with the illnesses?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, honestly, Zen Mahalski graded out really well with the twos.
Yeah,
he did. I'll have to go look at his grade, but he graded out really well.
Yeah, interesting. Huh. Mm-hmm. All right,
guys. Well, that's it for us today. Again, please contact us for your $50 Buckeye Corner gift card and from the start of the show. And I appreciate all of the support. Continue to watch, subscribe, all those good things. We love your comments too. Please,
more comments the better.
Yeah, I will reply. It may take me a day or two, and Dan will
and
too.
I usually do too. It's just been a super busy couple weeks.
Yep, same here. Work's been nutty, and we're in the middle of football season for my son and ballet season for my daughter. So we're in the thick of it. So I do my best. But you guys, thank you again for all your support. You guys have a good week. We'll see you on Friday as we get ready for Sparty. Stay safe out there, and as always, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.